morning, class. Today we will start our first lecture on business communication. So, let me give you a brief introduction to communication. The word communication has been derived from the Latin word communis, that means common. However, communication incorporates, beside commonality, the concepts of transfer, meaning, and information. So, what do we understand by this? Communication. It means giving information, the transfer of information, meaning the communication that is being communicated, or rather, whatever we are telling to somebody else, whatever we are transferring, the information we are transferring, that has to have meaning, and it should be the person whom it is being communicated to, which should be able to understand. There should be an information to it. Communication can also be defined. It can be defined as a process through which two or more persons come to exchange ideas and an understanding among them. So, as I told you previously, that there should be two or more people to have communication, to have exchange of ideas. So, whenever we exchange ideas, it means that there is something that people are coming together for. There can be a goal that has to be achieved. So what business communication means is, again, business has a goal. So the goal is to give customer a good product, and in turn achieve their sales target, get good profits. So different people come together in an organization, people from different nationalities, people from different culture, from different regions. They come together in a business to achieve some goal, and they have to work towards that goal. So the higher management or the business exchange its ideas with its employees, and employees do understand that. So, what can we, if we see, what are the parties in communications? A sender is a person who initiates the communication process. So, what do you understand? A sender may be a person, for example, I'm speaking to you. So I am the sender and you are the receiver. A receiver receives the message, decodes it, and work towards it. So you would receive my message, you would understand it, and you would understand, and what you'll prepare for your exams, you'll prepare for your semesters. So this is what communication is, and the parties in communication are sender and a receiver. So uh, what do you understand by the importance of communication? I'll read it out to you. Just as communication is vital to our existence in a civilized society, it is also essential to the functioning of the organization our society has produced. With this comes into existence business communication. We can go to the extent of saying that without communication, there would be no organization. As Herbert Sims mentions, that without communication, that can be no organization. Sorry, there can be no organization, for there is no possibility then of a group influencing the behavior of the individual. So, this is how important communication is. We all do communicate on a daily basis, and when we don't understand, and when there is some gap, we call it communication gap, we call it miscommunication. So it is very important. I must say, while in business, or while working in an organization, the most important thing is communication, because you can, if you are not feeling good, if you're not uh, you are not able to understand what the organization's goal is, what the organization is working for. You can have a communication. You can talk to your manager. You can talk within the business, because if an employee is not happy while working in an organization, he wouldn't work towards the goal of the business, towards the ultimate goal of the business. So it is very important the managers, the senior management in an organization need to communicate to their employees, to their subordinates, to get the required result. So this is how business communication comes into existence. And this is what business communication may be about. But even on our daily basis, even in our daily lives, if we cannot communicate effectively to anyone, nobody would take us seriously. Nobody would understand what we want to communicate, what we want to tell them, what we want from them. Nobody would understand. So this is how important communication is. So, as Herbert Sim mentions that without communication, there can be no organization, for there is no possibility then of the group influencing the behavior of the individual. Uh, as I was telling, that different nationalities are coming together through globalization. Many businesses are working in different countries. For example, definitely we do understand that there is a cultural difference between people of different regions, between people of different countries. So, if businesses, while working in a foreign country, do not have good communication skills, what would they do? They would not be able to get their goals, to make their goal, to make their employees understand their goals. And how would those employees work towards the achievement of their goals? No, they cannot. So it is very important for businesses to get a clear communication to their employees through the higher management. So, what is good business communication? Having good communication skill is an essential requisite for conducting business in today's time. Some areas like personal, public relations, marketing, sales, labor relations call for exceptional communication skills. Executives are required to make speeches, prepare presentations, speak in public and within organizations. Thus, to communicate effectively has become a very important job requirement. It is indeed, as I was telling you, that different people are coming together. They may have different nature. If you must have worked in an organization or with a business, you would know that somebody would have a different nature. We all have different nature. We have come from different regions. We may have different culture. We have different religions. So it is very important to communicate effectively. We have to sometimes speak in front of managers, in front of the higher management, marketing people. As you all understand, that marketing, it has to be very, very rigorous. And what is marketing all about? Communication. They have to communicate their idea. They have to create a demand for the product they are marketing. So how do they do it? Through communication. They communicate very effectively to the customers. This is how they are able to create a demand for their product. Sales. Indeed, sales is a very, very important example that I can give, because if they cannot communicate, they cannot make sales. Public relations, labor relations. So, even today, if you must have seen in politics, if you don't communicate, you may be at a loss. So, everything today is based on communication. I can go up to the extent by saying that even in organizations, when you're working, it is a very important factor for promotion. If you cannot communicate, rather as people say that do smart work, not hard work today. So that is the reality. If you are working hard, you might be working hard, I may work hard, but if I don't communicate that to my seniors, to my management, how would they know that I'm working hard? I have to show them that I'm working hard. I have to communicate it to them. So instead, if you can communicate, if you can you cannot work hard, you cannot make sound decisions, you don't have academic qualifications, that really doesn't, it does matter, but to an extent. If you're able to communicate effectively to a person sitting in front of you, that is the most important thing. What does marketing do? We may not have a demand for a specific product, but what does marketing do? They create a demand. So uh, it's very important to have a good communication skills. I'll give you an example. For example, there are two people working in an organization, and what both are working themselves. They don't. There's no communication between them. Let's give an example of a company which is working in India as well as in the UK. There are two people. One is in India. One is in the UK. They have a same goal, getting profit for the business, but they have no communication. So what would the person in India do? He would work by himself. The person in London would work by himself. They don't know what exactly their goal is, whether because they don't communicate at all. So whatever they will achieve, they'll do it by themselves, by their hard work. The person in India would do it by himself. The person in the UK would do it by himself. They have no idea what they're going through, what they want to achieve. So it's very important these days. Let's move ahead. So, what are the types of business communication? Internal operational communication, then there is external communication, and personal communication. So, what does internal operation communication means? This is a structured communication which is done internally within the organization, and this is communicated to the employees very explicitly to make them understand the goals of the business. When an employee joins a company, we are given the documents, what to do, what not to do, do's and don'ts. What does the company want to achieve? Why are we told that? We are joining a company, they would tell us what work to do, and we'll do it. Why do they tell us very explicitly what do they want to achieve? What do they want from the employees? Why? Because they are communicating to us what exactly their goal is. Where do they see themselves 5 years or 10 years ahead? So, this is basically an internal communication. What the management, the business, the organization is telling their employees to achieve, what their goal is, and what the employees would work towards to achieve. So we come to external operational communication. This is a communication by the organization, by the business, uh, to the external uh, factors. For example, communicating to the uh, income tax office, communicating to the uh, whatever external, where the business has to deal with, the external offices where the business has to deal with. That can be the customers, then that can be the suppliers. For example, sorry, for example, it's a manufacturing industry, so there must be the suppliers of raw materials, or it's a wholesaler, so there must be suppliers. There are many types of suppliers, then there are customers, general public. That also comes in external operational communication, and income tax offices, sales offices. So these are external communication, kind of the business is communicating with them to get done, get things done, but that is not an internal communication. Internal communication can only be with the employees, to tell them the goals of the business. How can the external communication happen? uh, for example, making telephone calls, for example, through advertisement in newspapers. We can give advertisement in television. So these are What brochures? You must have seen brochures. People are giving pamphlets on the roads, on the metro stations. So these are kind of external communication. They are trying to communicate to us. What is advertising? It is an external communication. We as customers don't go and serve the organization. For example, I am buying detergent, I'm buying Tide. I don't go and help the Tide industry to get Tide manufactured or packed. They don't take this help from us. So, but they communicated to us that the Tide is in market. There is a new Tide in the market. How do they communicate? They communicate it through what advertisement, through paper messages, through pamphlets. So this is external operational communication for a business. Then next comes the personal communication. Personal communication is it's a kind of incidental exchange which any human being might have. We all want to communicate. We all want to talk on a daily basis. So this may be considered a personal communication, as in we are on a train, we're going on a train, we're going on a plane. Anybody sitting next to us can talk to us. You may or may not like it, but this is the innate. This is the human being. This is what human being is. They want to talk. I've seen many people talking to me even if I may not like it. Yeah, we when we are on a bus, on a train, we may have a child, we may see a child and we may start talking to that child. Or so these kinds are personal communication. And personal communication, let me tell you, personal communication uh, is kind of effective. Why is it effective? When you're working, for example, you're working in an organization, you're working in a business, and your team members, your manager, your immediate manager, you have a good communication with it, you have a good rapport with them. So this affects your what you call your productive hours. This affects your productivity. For example, uh, what you are working in a team where there is always kind of what you call internal politics. So if there is this kind of environment where everybody's backbiting, uh, and you may not like it, then so this would affect your productivity, and somehow you may as well leave the company. So this is what person. And when there is a very jovial, in another incident, when there is a jovial uh, environment, everybody is cooperative, they motivate you, they help you, they assist you. So this would increase your productivity. So personal communication does make a difference. Now we come to the FAQs. I'll read it for you. To be able to communicate, two or more parties are required. We understand that because two or more parties are required for communication. Communication is an attempt to share understanding and ideas. Yes, it is very important. If we don't understand how the idea, if we don't understand how would we work towards it, it is very important in business. The receiver should be able to get the idea properly to execute it in a desired manner. We understand that. The receiver should also be able to convert it into the desired actions if the communication is effective. So again, it has to be, basically you understand what I have to tell you. You understand that. Yes, it's good. You've understood it. So what does the business need from you? They need the desired actions. They need the desired result. If my manager comes to me and says, "Look, you're not doing good in this particular area," so why is he communicating this to me? He's telling me this so that I work on it. I give him the desired result, what he wants. So this is what I should be able to understand. I'll tell you a very good example. As kids, you must have played whisper in the ears. this is a game. This is a very good example that I may give you for communication in our personal lives. Uh, we have a class sitting together, and the first girl in the class has to say a sentence or a word, whatever, in the ears. She has to whisper in the ears of the second and of the girl sitting next to her, and this goes on by whispering in the ears till the last girl in the class. So the girl says something, the other girl says something, and this is how it passes on. And when you see what happens is, uh, the first girl obviously says the correct stuff because she is the one who is originating this idea, who is telling this idea. But as it moves ahead, what mess it becomes when the last girl says what she's heard. It's hilarious. So it is very important to be able to communicate. Probably somewhere in the middle there was a miscommunication, there was a communication gap, and then it was a mess. So the person who is telling, the person who is communicating, the sender, should also be aware, should also be able to communicate effectively so that the receiver understands and the receiver gets the desired results. So we have these question and answers. You can work on it, and here comes our. It is the end of the first lesson in business communication. We'll be back soon. Thank you. Bye.